Welcome, everybody, and welcome to the Living Better podcast, Episode 3. And tonight we're going to talk about relationships. This episode is brought to you by the Sleep Monkey Premium Sleep Mask. Throughout my life, I've been trying different sleep masks, and I came upon this mask. It was actually made of 100% quality handmade cotton. And to be honest, it's the most amazing sleep mask I ever used. As a shift worker myself, I understand that blocking the lights from hitting my eyes during the day and even at night, it just blocks every kind of light, and it's amazing. And I believe that everybody should have a sleep mask, or at least wear one when they sleep or travel or whatnot. The Sleep Monkey Premium Sleep Mask is our official sponsor. I truly believe in the product. I use it myself, and I recommend it to anybody who wants to improve their sleep and have a better REM sleep and better quality of sleep. So that's it for our sponsor. So let's start with our episode. So tonight we're going to talk about relationship. And one of the things that I think is really important in relationships is to understand that when you're with someone, you're with a totally different human being, someone with a different set of backgrounds, conviction, even either beliefs, religions, or whatnot. And you have to understand that whenever you have either a fight or an argument, that there's always two sides to a story and two opinions. So when you're in a relationship, I think it's very important to be able to put yourself in the other person's shoe and try to see where they're coming from with what they're trying to advance as their opinion or problem. So I believe that one good thing is, yes, communication. That's something that you'll hear a lot from any people that give you advice on relationships. But actually being able to listen to and to try to see the underlying issue whenever you're having like I said, an argument or something. So that's very important. And when we go to communication, what communication means is to actually be totally open, totally honest. When you're in a relationship, you shouldn't lie about anything. You should be totally transparent and say things as they are or how you believe they are. And I think that, especially with me and my wife, that's something we've been working on, to just be totally honest and open with one another. And it cuts so many arguments by just being truthful and just saying it as you feel it straight up. So I think that's very important. Another thing is to take ownership of your actions and to actually support each other. So if ever something happens, let's say, I don't know, something breaks in the house or something doesn't work out the way it should, well, just, take ownership. Don't dwell on it. The moment something breaks or something happens, it doesn't matter at that point to try to blame one another or to try to figure out what happened and who's at fault. It's broken or it's not working. So, the best thing is to move along and just disregard what happened and find a solution, find a way to make it work again and focus on that. I've been married for 3 years, and, one of the most amazing thing of marriage is that you decide to be with this person. You choose that person to be your partner for life, and it's very important to always remind yourself that. It's easy to get caught up in the routine or caught up in different things that happen and forget that at the very essence of all, you got married because you wanted to be a team and you want to be a team. So that's something to always remind yourself if you're married. And if you're not and you're just in a relationship, well, you're a team as well. And if you work hard on it, you'll get there. You'll get married probably eventually if that person is the right person for you. But that being said, always take a step back and always remind each other, or remind yourself at least, that you're a team and you're supposed to work through things together. So that's something that I use personally myself in moments of struggle or in moments of stress, because as we know, life can be very stressful. We all encounter challenges, obstacles, things don't go our way, or either, in our surroundings at work or whatnot. So it's important to just take a step back sometimes, have a little breather, and reassess and work things out as a team. If communication doesn't work, you can sit down and just write to one another, write how you feel, write what you're going through, and ask for support from one another. And sometimes just reading whatever you put down on paper will make communication easier than actually trying to spit it out. Sometimes I find that when you write things down, you think a lot more about the words that you put on the paper versus when you talk or spit it out right away. Sometimes it doesn't come out the right way, or it's not perceived the way it should be. So that's one thing that's important. Another tip that I'd like to give people is to just stay private. Like, keep your problems between your relationship and your couple. If you ever have any issue, I mean, you're two grown-up adults, you're a team, so you should sit down and talk to one another and work through it. The problem once you're going out of your relationship to try to seek advice and talk to friends or family or whatnot, they don't have the big picture, so they'll just spit out whatever they think based on the limited amount of information that they have. And most often than not, that will cloud your judgment. It won't help you to fix anything that's going on in your relationship. So I believe that the best thing is keep it between one another, sit down, talk about it, and come up with a solution. There's always a solution to anything you're going through. So that's very important. Another tip is take some time off, time away from your regular life, your regular routine. After a while, like I said, it's very easy to get caught up in just the same thing over and over again every day. And, it can kind of feel boring at some point. And when you share a house or, whatever, apartment, condo, or whatnot with your boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, or husband, you know, sometimes you attribute that boredness to them, but if you would be alone, it'd be the same thing. So it's important as a couple to spice things up once in a while. Get away, do something fun, plan something out. It's one thing to fall in love, but it's another thing to keep it going, and it's constant work. And if you don't balance your life properly, I mean, if you spend too much time just focusing on work, or too much time with your friends, or too much time with your family, or not enough time in your own relationship, it's very easy to take each other for granted and to stop appreciating the small things that you used to see in the beginnings that are still there, but you kind of got immune to them because that's just your regular life now. So like I said, take a step back and remind yourself that you're a team. And just do little things for one another, and say thank you. Be grateful, be appreciative, and just be there for one another. So that's another thing. That's, I think, is very important. Not to let people invade your private space too much. So keep a certain space around the two of you private, and don't let people cross that boundary and get in between one another. So that's another good tip. Another thing in a relationship, one thing that I like to do personally for my wife is give her a little attention, or either little notes or things to show her that I still care about her, and I, just little surprises, or if I make her a lunch, I'll write a little note that say, I love you, I'm thinking about you, have a nice day. And you might think that those little attentions are either stupid or silly, but they go a long way. So that's very important. Another thing, when it comes to sexuality, that's important not to be shy and to talk to one another about things you like, things you dislike, what you want to do or try. And the more you're going to be open and honest with one another, the more you're going to be able to improve that aspect of your life and make it fun and exciting. So I believe that that's something you shouldn't refrain from. Sometimes sexuality is kind of like a taboo subject, and people don't want to talk about it, or they kind of try to avoid it. But in a relationship, it's important to really be open about it towards one another. So that's that. Another thing that I would say too is, try some new things together. Once in a while, the things that you do or things that you enjoy together, again, when you're together for a long time, they become sort of a routine. So, you can try different things and try to, find something that's interesting or some things you want to try together and go for it. Either it could be like some new dancing courses or painting or whatnot. You find it probably silly, but I mean, when you're in a relationship, those new activities and just new stuff that you try makes you discover so much about one another, and it's actually pretty interesting. Also, if you can travel, I know that for me and my wife, traveling is something that we really enjoy. What's good about traveling is it allows you to really disconnect from your life and be, someone else, be in a totally different place with different culture, with everything being different. And I find it's really good to make you connect as a couple, because you end up being only the two of you away on a vacation or in a different part of the world, and you have to figure things out. So it makes you actually be more of a team because you're in a foreign place. So you work together, you go to a different place, you stay together, you get lost, you find where you want to go. And it's always fun adventures that you come back with new memories and exciting stuff that happened. So that's great. Other thing that it's a really good tip actually, and a lot of people don't actually think about it, or they don't see that they're doing it. A term for it is called technoference, which is the interference of technology in your life. So we're so used to being on our phone that a lot of time, in a relationship, you can spend too much time on your phone, and that makes you disconnect from your spouse, or like I said, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. I'm using spouse because I'm talking more towards me and my wife. But it's important from, time to time to put your phone down and pay attention to one another. Our rule is when we eat, there's no phones at the table, and it's really good because it makes you talk and it makes you appreciate the meal that you're, eating. And putting that aside in a way really helps to focus on one another. So that's a really good tip. Or if you have a hard time, you can actually dedicate a few hours that are without a phone. So sometimes that's what we do is we do date nights. So we're going to go on a date, either like I pick a restaurant or she does. And we'll go there and, we'll plan a few things over the evening and really just leave our phones either in the car or at home, and just, not have any phone around. It's crazy the difference that it makes in rapport building that you'll have with your spouse or your girlfriend. So that's a really good one. And overall, I would say, just, help each other out. If someone says they'll do something, and I'll talk for parents here. So let's say, I don't know, your wife says she'll wake up and bring the kids to, daycare or school. And one morning she sleeps in, she misses her alarm or whatnot. Instead of saying, hey, you told me you would do it or whatnot, you can say, all right, well, honey, I'll take care of it. Or if you see that she's, not waking up, you can just go for it and take care of it for her. Because from time to time, it's going to happen that we try to do things or we want to do things and we can't. So being a team, once again, you have to support one another and get stuff done. So, that's one trick too. Don't get mad. Try not to get mad at one another. Always try to control your emotion. And as human beings, it's sometimes hard. The emotions gets the better of us. So, control your emotions and try to always be kind and grateful towards one another as much as you can, because the more you're going to let problems and negativity and people invade your life, or talk bad to one another, the more damages it's going to do to your relationship over time. And it's going to create resentment. And resentment after a while makes it hard to connect towards one another. Another thing, resentment gets built when you don't express yourself. So if there's certain things you don't like about one another that you or your wife does, it's important to tell each other, hey, when you do this, I don't like it because it makes me feel that way. Would you be able to perhaps, get a grip on that and avoid doing that? And by doing that frequently, you're going to prevent resentment from building up, and you'll actually have a stronger bond between one another. Another thing I got, it was from another podcast on relationships, and it was hosted by a couple, and they were saying that they do weekly check-ins between one another, when they'll just sit down and talk about what were their challenges this week, what things that were good, what they want to do, one another, and that would help a lot the relationship. So, for example, let's say me and my wife, right? We sit down and I say, "Hey, honey, I feel like the past weeks, I haven't seen my friends as much as I'd like to see them. So, I think that this week or next week, I'll kind of put a bit of attention towards that and spend some quality time with my friends." And then she'll understand that at that point in time and the way I feel, this is something that I want and need. So the moment I'm going to go and see them, this is going to be fixed. I'm going to come back and, carry on with our life as a couple. Some other time might be her. She feels like she wants to do something exciting, whatever. Our life is too much of a routine. So then we'll sit down and say, okay, well, next week, let's plan something exciting. And that's the thing with humans. We quite often change in emotions, behaviors, and likings, and what we want to do. So, assuming that the same thing is always going to be fine, well, it won't. And that's just the nature of things and the way we're programmed as humans. So it's important to change it up. And when you navigate life going from left, right to center, and you keep going left, right, and center all the time, depending on what you need more. And by that, I mean, navigating the line between doing certain things and then spending time with friends and family, or focusing on work, or focusing on certain projects that you have, or your relationship. You always have to balance it out. And like I said, if you put a lot of attention one week towards one thing, it's important the next week to come back and put the attention towards something else, and to keep attention on one another as well from time to time, because like I said, a relationship is constant work, and it's something that you have to take as seriously, if not more, as your job, your actual workplace. Because at the end of the day, when you come back home, your home is your castle, and the person you're sharing it with is your queen or king, if we might say. So it's important that when you come back, you're very comfortable and you feel very at ease, and you can relax and, reassess, like I said, challenges and things that are happening in your life. And when you have a partner, or when you're married, in my case, it's truly amazing. You come back home and there's someone there to support you. You share a meal, you go to bed, you're never alone. And sorry, I got caught a little cold. But it's beautiful. It's amazing. And a lot of times I've been through a lot of stuff myself, and my wife was there to cheer me up or support me, and same with me towards her. And that's how we grew better as a couple, and that we can reserve for another podcast when she's going to be here, and we can talk together about it. But For tonight, this is what I wanted to say, a few tips and tricks and stuff about my own life and relationships. So take that with you, and please always remember that everything is always fixable and communication is key. And have some fun, enjoy life, take it easily. All right, I'm out. Bye.